Welcome to Talking Heads on USA Global TV, starring the one and only wonderful Dr. Jacqueline. It's a prestigious place where world-class influencers and experts meet, and where you'll find the most trusted advisors and coaches for all things in life and business. Visit usaglobaltv.com to sign up for our newsletter, get the value you need, and be first in line to learn about events and giveaways and other valuable content. Connect with us. Email Dr. Jacqueline at usaglobaltv.com to talk about how you can become part of USA Global TV. That's USA Global TV, where the doctor is always in.
And welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where we're celebrating today, but we'll get to that in just a minute. I'm Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. I'm the president, founder, and chief listening officer here at our network. And our show today is a woman's prerogative. Our topic is, I'm thinking about making a change, ... Joining me today, it's actually kind of fun that it's just the two of us, is MARISKA. She and I have co-authored our first book together, the first of 7, and I'm going to bring her out so we can have a chat, and then we'll get to the topic. MARISKA is joining us from New Zealand, which you know I love to say if you watch our show, because she's a day ahead of us, and she actually has been my coach for several years. She's a leadership and transformation coach. Let's welcome MARISKA. Hello.
Hello.
So nice to see you as we're celebrating today. Tell everyone what we're celebrating.
Oh, it is very, very exciting. So for those of you that's only tuning in now, we have written a children's book that helps children to learn a few more listening skills. And this is so exciting because we have a little bit of a pre-launch surprise. Right? If you want the paperback book, today is the day to get it. So really, really exciting. I know the official launch for the hardcover as well as the ebook, which you can also pre-order at the moment, is only for the 14th. But you can start getting your paperback, which means if you order it now, it will be in time for Christmas. So that's very exciting.
Yes, you nailed it. Wow, you should be a TV show host, huh? MARISKA, I'm going to bring up a visual of the book cover so people can see it, and then we'd love for them to go over and order it. Here it is. It's called The Amazing Adventures of Lady Ella, the Listening Mentor. And we also had a TV and radio show, but that's what the book cover looks like. You can put in MARISKA's name, you can put in my name, and you'll find it over on Amazon. And I think on the 14th, it should be available at all major booksellers. So please do go and help us get that bestseller status on this book. We need your orders today for the paperback, and then you can sign up and pre-order for the ebook. So very excited. I think what's cool, we're in 2 different countries. We've never met in person, and yet we've been able to come up with this concept of how to help children and their families learn how to listen. So I would just say to anybody out there, you can do whatever you put your mind to. Go out and meet new people. Contact MARISKA. Work with her. Come up with some collaborations. All right. That being said, my friend, let's talk about our topic for today. I'm thinking about making a change. What comes to mind when you think of this?
Well, when I think about making a change, it's so interesting. A while back, more than a while back, actually, before we moved to New Zealand, me and my husband went on a little bit of a overall detox, got into exercise and all the rest of it, and then we moved. So, of course, with any big life change or even a holiday, stuff like that has a tendency to go out the door. Of course, being a major life change, moving all the way from South Africa to New Zealand, it went out the door for quite some time because there was so much new things that we needed to get our heads around and our being around, really. So the other day, I spoke to my husband and I said, you know what? I want to see whether we can get back into just being a little bit more healthy in general, right? So we've already started walking, which I love. I absolutely love walking. So we've started walking in the mornings before he goes to work, in the evenings, after our evening ritual when he comes back. So there's a little bit of exercise going on, right? Which is good. Now it is for the eating thing. So the big change that I'm thinking of is getting a little bit more healthy around the way that we eat and the way that I prepare meals, and getting a bit more enthusiastic about it again. I don't know about you guys, but for me, I'm the main chef in my house, so to speak. So I'm in charge of menu decisions, of making the food, of all those sort of things. It's not that I don't get help, but it's more or less my domain in general. So sometimes I sort of run out of ideas, and then I have a tendency to fall into not necessarily the best patterns, because inherently, being an engineer, I am a bit lazy. As engineers, normally we tend to try and see what works best and then go for that option. And if it doesn't require a lot of effort, that's even better. And if we can only do it once, that's brilliant. So applying that to making food, not always the wisest thing to do. So yes, I think that would be my big thing that I am really thinking and taking action on, making a change. How about you, Dr. Jacqueline?
Wow, I love that. Congratulations.
I
love learning more things about you. That's really interesting. Actually, something that I'm thinking about making a change is going to impact you and I, which I think it's going to be really cool. I am going to be getting some software to actually be able to have production quality recording studio for recording music.
Ooh.
We have a song coming out. That's another exciting thing for our second book. Do you want to tell people about that?
Oh, yes. Okay, so as you might have noticed, book number 1, I'm really excited about, right? It is a little bit like having a creative baby that we're putting out into the world. So all the support to make this little one thrive is, of course, so appreciated. And to build on that, we are busy with book 2, and book 2 has a song in it. And that is what Dr. Jacqueline is alluding to. So not only is it going to be a children's book, it will also have a children's song. And we will have the song's music bit, so the lyrics and all the rest of it, in the book as well. So if you can play an instrument, you can make music with your friends, which is even more fun.
How much fun would that be to have a group of children sitting around singing the song? Isn't that amazing?
Yeah. Yes, that would be so amazing.
And
you know what I would love?
What?
If when we bring out that book, right, and children are singing the song, for people to video record, and it can be just a snippet of it, doesn't need to be the whole song, but video record that, right, and tag us in it.
Yes.
And post it. That would be so much fun.
We'll go viral with it. That would be great. And I do want to share that Madeline Chan, Dr. Chan, who is on our show, she's busy today, but she and her company, Songs for You, will actually be involved in the production of this. So that's really exciting. She's going to be singing it. I think we're going to be singing with her, actually, the 3 of us.
Yes.
What's your vocal cords ready?
Yeah, little bit tad nervous about that. The last big singing I did was in school, which is quite some years back.
Well, think of all the things you've accomplished since then. I mean, because you put yourself out there and you try new things and good things come from it.
Exactly. And I mean, even when that, I think to me, that's the the most exciting thing about just being alive. We can try things out, and if they work, wonderful. And if they don't work, we've learned something, right? And it's just so much fun. Having fun. I mean, shouldn't we be doing that every day? I don't know. It's for me, sometimes I think when I thought growing up when I was little, I thought, yeah, some of them look like it's a drag. And I didn't really want to grow up except for the piece where I can decide what I want to do, right? Because I don't want other people telling me what to do. No, I'm not a fan. Not that I don't think that they have good insights into things, and I will always take that on board. My bigger thing is, if I want to create something, I want to be in charge of what it is that I'm creating and how it's going to look like and who I create it with. And you can't always do that when you're a kid. Parents don't always understand everything that we want to be creating when we're children. So that part of it, I wanted to grow up, right? So I can do that. But in certain other areas, grown-ups looked really sad sometimes. So I don't see why we have to be. I really don't. We can play and have as much fun as we did when we were kids. And whatever lighted us up then, which, by the way, for me, was storytelling. I loved telling my brother and sister stories when we were little. So, yeah, I'm still doing that. And I'm grown up, so da-da-da-da. That's fun.
And you're having fun. I love it.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. It's fantastic. So when you're thinking about making a change, Mariska, given that you're a transformation and leadership coach, you're certified, do you have a certain process that you follow when you're going to make a change? That's my first question. And then my second question is, do you actually prepare for the change? Like, some people just wake up and they go, you know what, I'm not doing that anymore. And then, or I am going to do this. And some people would be like, okay, I'm thinking about doing XYZ. I'm going to write it down. I've got a formal plan. I've got checkpoints. What about you?
I think for me, it depends on the type of change. So for some of them, I'll be like, okay, so this is what I want to do, and I'll just start doing it, right? And see how it goes. So sometimes, especially if it's something new that I haven't done before, I don't know what's going to happen. So for me, the way that I look at it is a little bit of an experiment. I'm going to experiment with something and try it out, see what happens, see what works for me, see what doesn't work for me, what I like, what I don't like, whatever the case might be. So that would be for something new that I haven't tried before, I haven't worked on before. I might ask people that has done it before so that I can get an idea of what worked for them, and then see what works for me. So for those type of things, I think I don't really plan them out, not step by step, because I want to give myself the freedom to experiment and try things that I maybe haven't thought of in the planning process. So to me, it doesn't make as much sense. I will have a good idea, though, of what it is that I want at the end for it to look like. So be very intentional about where I'm going to with my experiment. But the middle bit of it, I'm not too worried about. Then, for instance, with the food thing that I mentioned earlier, there I'll be more intentional. So I have done it before. I mean, I make food every day, so I should know where my pitfalls are, what's trappy areas for me. So in those cases, I'll be a lot more intentional on planning things out. So one of the things that I want to be doing, so what we said is for our eating healthy plan, there's a little bit of a detox period. And then after that, we go into making it a lifestyle change. So for me, the detox period, I will definitely plan out each and every meal for 2 weeks so that we have that. And then what I also want to do is I want to have about a 12-week meal plan idea. So that won't necessarily be as rigid, but having something on paper that I can put on my fridge where I can see it, right? So I know what I'm going to look for when I'm buying. I know what I am preparing. Maybe they might shift around a little bit, but not too much. So in that case, a lot more planning and preparation is going to go into that process. So I think that would be my answer. It depends on the type of change for me personally and what it is that I want to achieve in the end. But both of them, I know myself, right? And the fun thing, it needs to be fun. If it's not fun for me personally, there's a very high likelihood of me not doing it at some point. So it won't be consistent. And that, I think, for me, especially when it comes to change, I look at how I can get it to be a consistent something, because it needs to become a lifestyle thing, not a, for instance, in the case of food, a diet thing, right? So the difference for me, in my mind, between a diet and a lifestyle is a diet has an end date. So the detox will have an end date, right? So that's a diet for 2 weeks. And it has an end date. And it's really just to set us up to clear our system. And that's fine. I don't want to do it for the rest of my life that way, because I won't be able to sustain it. But having that set up, I can then bring my healthy eating into my lifestyle. So the rest of the eating patterns becomes a lifestyle thing. And that needs to be something that I can continuously do, and it needs to still be fun. So that's something just about me that I know if I can make it fun, it will be so. If I can't, it will most probably not happen. So yes, that's how I work. How about you, Dr. Jacqueline? What do you find when you are bringing in a change? What works best?
I have always been very spontaneous, and I still am in some ways. As you know, I'll be out walking and I think of an idea. I'm like, oh, I'm going to go and do this. And then I usually go and I do it. Like last night, I came up with some ideas and I just was glued to my computer on Canva, creating this and creating that and going over to Hootsuite and sending it all out. And but other things, like for, let's say, the future direction of the platform or the channel, I have a plan that I follow that's, I have deliverables and milestones. So I think, just like you said, it depends on what it is. I know for my workouts, I go and do the same workout every day at Solid Core, and I mentally am preparing myself for what it is I'm going to do, because I know when I get in there, I'm usually tired when I get in there, and I've got all these things going on, and I have to push myself to the next level every single time. So I'm mentally preparing myself and telling myself it's 50 minutes. And then during the 50 minutes, maybe one specific exercise is going to be a minute or 2 minutes. And I'll say, if you can't do this for 2 minutes, because I talk to myself in my mind, not very motivationally, by the way. So I think it depends what it is, but it should also be fun. I love what I'm doing, and each and every, like today, it's so exciting to have this book launch. Is there a big celebration? Am I going out somewhere? No, there's nothing. But in my heart, I'm celebrating, and I'm celebrating here with you and with everyone else. So. So when you're working with your clients and they're kind of stuck when it comes to making a change, are there certain exercises you give them, or diagrams, charts, anything that, like any tools, I should say, any tools that you use to help people when they're going to make a change?
Well, for change, normally the things that we focus on is first to get clarity. So for a lot of people, clarity is one of the blocks that stop us from doing, right? So if we are clear on what it is that we're doing or what it is that we're going to be trying out, and even that intention, right? Setting that intention having clarity about our intention makes a big, big difference. So the very first thing that I normally do with clients when they want to make a change is getting that clarity. Because once we have that, we can then start building and seeing what works for them. And depending on the change, whether this is going to be an intention set, and then we're going to experiment along the way and set some milestones for ourselves that way, or whether we're going to plan it out a little bit more structured and then set it up that way. But if we don't have clarity in any of those areas, it becomes really, really difficult to be able to sort of affect the change that you want to have. So I would say that would be step number one. So very first thing, get that clarity. And then from there, we can start moving. So sometimes it is thinking exercises in the sense that thinking about the clarity and finding ways of getting that clear for ourselves, and then moving from there. So for stuckness, get your clarity first, I would say. What have you found, Dr. Jacqueline? Because I know that you also work with clients, not necessarily in change so much, but in other areas.
Thank you. And I appreciate what you shared. What I find sometimes is people want to make a change. They're not clear on why they want to do it. And sometimes they're actually doing it because someone told them they should do it. So in addition to clarity, I like commitment. What is your commitment to making this change? What are you willing to give up or take on in order for this change to make to take effect? And then when the change does occur, what does your life look like then?
Yes. And I think what you shared about the commitment and understanding what you are willing to give up or put in for this change. A lot of people think, oh yeah, well, I want this and this and this and this and that. Okay, wonderful. When are you sleeping? And if sleeping is not important, that by all means, go nuts, right? But understand that for this to happen, for all of these things to happen, there's certain other things that might not happen, right? And understanding that you should be okay with whatever the things are that you want happening and what the things are that's not going to be happening. So understanding the impact of our decisions, and again, it might come back to that clarity, right? Understanding that, being clear about, okay, this is what I want happening. Now, for me to be committed to that, this is not going to be happening. And of course, Dr. Jacqueline, as you mentioned, doing things because other people want you to do them. I don't know. There's certain elements of that might blow up in the doing, I have found, because either they don't get done or they don't get done with as much enthusiasm. So really understanding your energy that you want to put into this thing, and of course that your enthusiasm might not always be as high, right? So we have a tendency to want to make a change, and in the beginning it's a little bit like a honeymoon. We think about it and it looks grand and it has all this potential, and then we start doing it and it sucks. It really sucks. It's difficult. It's hard. It takes time. You don't see results immediately. It's a little bit like exercise, because going to the gym is not a 2 hours once a week sort of thing. If you want to be in a healthy condition and you want to build muscle, you need to do it consistently, right? Maybe do rather half an hour, but 4 to 6 times a week. That makes a lot more sense than doing 2 hours once a week. So understanding what it is that we want out of this makes a big difference, I think, to us actually having a good, step or steps towards the change we want to make. And Dr. Jacqueline, I know that you love your exercise. So do you have any tips or tricks for us to stay consistent?
Well, I just incorporate it into my life. It's part of what I do. And if I don't have the ability to exercise on a specific day, I am not a happy person. Because I have this watch, my fabulous watch, which reminds me how many calories I have left to go and how many hours I've been standing. So to me, it's just part of my life because it makes me feel good and I feel strong and I feel confident and I'm happy with what I see from the results physically and how I feel mentally. So I would say that there has to be a why. There has to be a why for you. And once you have that why, it's something that will be ingrained. And to be honest with you, it's not something that is easy for me. In fact, the workouts that I do with Solid Core are extremely challenging. It's the hardest thing I've ever done. And I've been lately doing it. It's sort of if you're in a plank position on my toes for the whole class if I can. That's what I say to myself. Of course you can. I also walk. I exercise 3 times a day. So I also walk so I can burn all the calories that I need to that I set on my watch. And I don't always feel like it. I walk for half a mile before I do the class, half a mile after the class, 3.5 miles before I go to the class to watch. So, and the point is, I don't always want to do it. It's not like I'm going, yes, I can't wait to do this. It's like, okay, I've got to do this because it's just part of what I do. And then of course, after I do it, I feel great. So it's a why. What is your why? And then what are the benefits that you will take away from it? And something else I think is really important is that as we come to this end of this year and people are making the New Year's resolutions, you know, the gyms, the coaches, everybody, we love this time of year because people are going to change everything. I'm going to stop. I'm going to lose weight. And then they just fall off the wagon, so to speak. So it has to be a gradual process that you can incorporate into your life instead of a radical process. What would you say?
Yes, I absolutely agree. I think for it to really be effective, we need to think about doing this for the next 10 years, the next period of our lifetime, right? Really making it part of our daily routine, who we are as a human being, and then incorporating it. And if we think about it that way, as I mentioned earlier, the detox, it's not something that I can do for the next 10 years nonstop. There's no way that's happening, right? But I can do it for the 2 weeks that I've set myself up for, and then eat healthy after that, incorporating some of the stuff that I did during the detox, but not all of it at the same time. So making sure that I set myself up in a way where I can incorporate it as part of my lifestyle, like you did, Dr. Jacqueline. It is part of what you do, right? You don't, it's not oh yeah, it's time to gym and I need to think about it. No, I've got my shoes on, I've got my gear, and I'm off. And it happens. And on the days that we don't feel like it, it happens. And on the days where we're really excited about it, it still happens. So making sure that we can make it part of our lifestyle makes a big, big difference. And I think the book Atomic Habits, I don't know if you've heard of that one, but that one has quite a few interesting and helpful tips in how to make a habit. And using small little increments, making sure that we just want to establish that we are doing this thing at this time on each whatever frequency of days. So having that established first and then increasing it in increments so that we don't feel overwhelmed. And as I said, make sure that you understand what's driving you. So for me, if it's not fun, it's not going to happen. So that's a driver for me. Exercise, I don't mind exercise, but it has to be fun and preferably not feel like exercise. So the likelihood of me going to a dance class versus a gym class is way better, because I will have fun when I dance and it's exercise, right? So that to me will work. But going to the gym, I've tried, not so much fun.
I love how authentic you are about that. That is, but fun and exercise can definitely go together. It could be dancing. It could be, I was going to say jogging, please. I jogged for years and now I see people jogging and I just think, oh, you couldn't pay me to jog. Sometimes I'm walking and I think, yeah, why don't you just take it up a little bit? And I'm like, no, I don't think so. It's just not fun. It's just not.
See, and some people really enjoy jogging. I mean, the thing I enjoy about running, not long distances, of course, but have you ever, when you run, right, feel the wind through your face and just have that experience of it blowing past you? It's sort of like you can open your arms wide and sort of just have this veil of air going over your body. So for me, that's fun. Do I want to do it every day? Most probably not, right? I'll do it every now and again, but not for an exercise. For me, it doesn't make sense for an exercise. So yes, running, I think I did a lot of that in school. So yeah, I had a bit of too much of
it. Yeah, I think there's something that it does for you mentally when you're out, right? I mean, you can escape into another world or something, but as you get older, you're escaping and your body's at the same time going, what are you doing? These are your hips speaking. This is your knee speaking. What are you doing? So at least that's my experience.
And that's another thing about the thinking about consistency, right? Also thinking about what impact it will have down the track. So a lot of the times we want to make a change and we think, okay, so say for instance, we want to eat better. Now, if I'm going to eat better and eat less cake or whatever it is that I'm addicted to, then my first thing is, well, I won't get all the yummy stuff anymore. We can always make healthy food that is still yummy, but it's not the same type of yummy, right? And of course, to get rid of that sugar addiction can be problematic, as Red will definitely be able to tell us in some of his talking heads. So thinking about it a little bit further is, well, in 3 years from now, how will I be feeling if I am eating more healthy? So it might be that I actually extend my life, right? Literally, because I'm healthier, I don't get sick, my immune system works better, everything works better. So I live longer. So it is a good type of thing to be doing. Now I want to start exercising. If I'm going to go into running, yes, running is a great exercise. The first thing is I need to start running, which might not be wonderful, but once I am running, great. Now, as per Dr. Jacalyn's point, my joints might not love the running, right? So if I'm going to continue running for 20 years, there's certain things that might wear and tear, so to speak, and not help my health and my well-being when I'm 80. So maybe running might not be the ideal exercise. Maybe I need to look at a different type of exercise where my body can actually do that for long periods on end and still be good and healthy if, and this is a if, the longevity is part of why I'm doing it, right? If I'm just doing it because, I don't know, I want to run an ultra marathon and it's on my bucket list, yeah, go nuts.
I love it. I love it. So we've covered a lot of ground when it comes to change. What about when you make the change? We just talked about, you and I just published our first book together, and today's the official book launch day. It was supposed to be Wednesday, but it's today because of human error. So I don't have any big celebrations. A lot of people, I don't know what a lot, some people want to celebrate a big occasion, and maybe they'll do something out of the ordinary or something special. Are you that kind of person, or do you actually just celebrate yourself or celebrate with your husband, just low key?
Good question. It's an interesting question because, and here is the because, I actually have one of my friends that's also a coach, right? She is writing a team coaching book, and she's basically finished with the book. Her publishers has it to do a little bit of last minute stuff before they actually publish and do their whole launch. And she celebrates. So she got herself some flowers and she really celebrates it. And then I was thinking, okay, I didn't quite do that. But in saying that, I do celebrate. So I think it depends, to me, it depends on what do I think of as a milestone for me, and how do I want to make this milestone special. So for me, there might be different things that come into play to say, okay, this is a milestone. Do I celebrate small little ones? Yes, I do. Those would most probably be a lot more low key. So the way that I would celebrate them would be by spoiling myself by reading a nonfiction book. Yes, I know that sounds a little bit silly, but for me, it's not so silly, because once I get into them, I really, really love them and I don't put them down. So in general, it is a very, very dangerous practice in my house for me just to start reading nonfiction. So I try to avoid it as far as possible. And that becomes for me little celebrations, right? So whenever it is that I do something that I feel that I can celebrate, I'll be like, oh, yay, now can I read a book? I know other people might think I'm a little bit nuts, and that's fine. It's my way of celebrating. Some people take bubble baths. Some people go for dinner. It can really take any form. And I think the thing that we do when we feel that we've spoiled ourselves a little bit, that's all that matters. And Dr. Jacqueline, if that means that you can go and exercise 4 times in the day instead of 3, and you feel great about that, hey, that's a celebration too.
Absolutely. I have a comment that I'm going to share, but we have a comment from somebody watching. Thank you so much, Facebook user. I assume that you were over in our private women's group where you have to give permission to use your name. Every little achievement is worth celebrating, gives you more energy to do a lot more, I think. I would definitely agree with you. Definitely. Yes. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. I think it is important to celebrate the wins, but here's how I am. And you know this because you've coached me for years, but I've always been about the gold stars, getting the achievement, getting the gold star, and then I immediately go on to the next thing. And as you know, you and I are meeting this evening, for me, my evening, to talk about the second book, which, and today's the launch of the first book. But so that's just how I am, because then I'm on to the next thing. And, you know, the 2 books I published already, they're right here in front of me. I look up and see them. I can't wait for the third one to come. But they don't have that much meaning anymore, because I'm on to the next thing. And I don't know that that's a great way to be, but I'm also not going to be sitting around spending all my time celebrating when I know I have a lot more to give.
See, and that's the thing about celebrations. I think an achievement, what's the meaning of it, right? What What is it taking us towards? Because literally it is an end date, right? If we have achieved something, there's an end date. Whereas when it becomes part of who we are as a being, then it changes. The way of looking at it changes. And Dr. Jacqueline, I love your gold stars image, because you know what I'm seeing. I'm seeing this ribbon across you, right? And the ribbon is empty, and then you're putting one star, another star, another. So I'm thinking at some point your ribbon will be full. I just don't know whether you have to find what that full looks like.
That's a good point. It reminds me of Girl Scouts. Do you have Girl Scouts in New Zealand? Something like it?
Yes, something like it. Yep.
Okay. I was a Girl Scout. You know, it is interesting. There is one achievement that is something that I am most happy about, and that's when I got my doctorate. And my certificate and my diploma is right here in front of me. I have all my little things around me that remind me of things that I did. But that one, that took 6 years. And I did it while I was working my full-time career and traveling. And I gave up my social life. I mean, I was up till 2, 3 in the morning doing my work. And when I walked across that stage, oh my gosh, I forget who gave this speech. Tom, I forget, a huge star gave the commencement speech. And when you walk across the stage, and then they do something that's called hooding you with your whatever it's called. Yep. And I walked across, and that was like the greatest moment of my life. So that to me will always be something that I will carry with me. And I know I shared with you that where I worked, nobody would call me Dr. Kerbeck. And it wasn't until I started this platform and I started my coaching company as Dr. Jacqueline, and I got it registered, that the doctorate really came into full life. So that is something that I'm really like, that would take up the whole sash.
I love that. And you are incorporating that achievement now in your being, in everything that you're doing. It's part of the show. Right?
Yes.
It's part of who you are. It's part of your brand. And that, to me, finding out what the achievement, sometimes it's little ones, right? That builds a bigger one, because you had to do other things before you could get your doctorate. And for those people that do not have doctorates or have studied, it's grueling. It's really grueling. I've only done my master's, and my hat goes off to people that's done that study. It's a lot of work. People don't understand, I think, the emotional and physical toll it takes on any one person when you're doing those sort of studies. It's intense.
It is, you're right. It is really intense, and financially it can break you. It's yeah. So I think for that, there was a big celebration, and I'm still celebrating it today. And, it's interesting. My name is Jacqueline, obviously. And when I was growing up, people called me Jackie. I can't stand being called Jackie. I tell people my name's Jacqueline, but I really see myself as Dr. Jacqueline because I spend so much time as Dr. Jacqueline. Yeah. And when somebody calls me Jackie, my skin crawls. Like I can't explain it to you. It's not an ego thing, but it's just, no, I'm not Jackie. That was little girl Jackie. I'm a grown woman. So that's a change I would really like. Please don't call me Jackie. Please call me Jacqueline or Dr. Jacqueline. Anybody out there, Jackie doesn't live here anymore.
Yeah, she's been evicted.
She's out of here. But guess what? I have to get out of here too because I have to go to my workout. So how can people reach you, and who would you like to contact you?
Well, people can reach me via my email, which is nice and easy. It's Mariska, MARISKA, at journey2discover.com. Or alternatively, you can look for me on LinkedIn, and please click the connect button. Let me know that you found me on USA Global TV and radio. And of course, if you were browsing Amazon and you got my book, then that would be even more fabulous if you let me know. And we can start a conversation. Of course, I work with people that is in specialized positions, such as engineers, architects, accountants, those sort of people that move into leadership, or people that is within the leadership space that wants to elevate the way they lead. And that is who can contact me. And of course, anybody in between too. If you have a kid and you'd like to help them listen a little bit better, I do know that most parents have a bit of a thing with that. So yes, if you're in that space, you can also contact me.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And I'm just going to show the book again. Mariska and I would really appreciate it if you would either pre-order the ebook, or if you would buy the paperback book. The paperback it's so much fun. It's really well illustrated, and it's a good tool, not just for children, but for anyone who is interested in learning how to listen. And why don't we want to learn how to listen? Because when we listen, we actually have more peace in our life. If you think about your life and how many arguments you have with people or discourse, it's because somebody's not listening and they're judging, they're interrupting, they're providing a solution that nobody asked for. These are the things that we teach in the book. And I cannot find the book cover. Here it is. This is the book cover. Please go over to Amazon right now, The Amazing Adventures of Lady Ella, the Listening Mentor, and order our book. Order plenty of them. Give them away for the holidays. It's really a great gift. It's the gift that keeps on giving, because you can keep going back to it, referring like a manual. It's a great teacher's aid. So there it is. Thank you so much, everyone. We are saying goodbye for now, but I look forward to seeing you on this show again next week. Mariska, I'll see you tonight. Bye,
Enjoy.
everyone. See you later. Bye.